My name's Max Zeumer. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for the Fortinet SOC platform. Today, I'm joined by a few of my colleagues, and we're going to walk through, initially set the stage, and share Fortinet's journey around AI, how we're helping our customers, how they're using it, how we frame it. And then we'll dig into specific use cases, demos, and open the floor for any questions. And you can stop and ask, of course, at any point in time. With that said, I'd like to jump in and just kind of start kicking off the evolution. The time it took for mobile phones to reach 1 billion users was 19 years. When we look at the internet, 14 years. And then 5 years with a smartphone. And when it comes to AI, especially in this case, Gen AI, that was under a year approximately to reach 1 billion users. That is fast because we have to adapt to this innovation, right? Especially in the security world. How do we know that this AI is safe, but how do we keep it safe? How do we correctly implement it? And instead of taking years to develop these frameworks, these strategies, these best practices, it's turned to months where we have to quickly adapt. And every organization has to. And in order to kind of also set the stage here, I wanted to walk through just briefly what we're seeing in terms of the enterprise AI journey. It typically, most enterprises are pretty early in their stage of AI adoption, but the vast majority are using generative AI, prompt-driven, reactive. I have this problem, I have this question, let me get a response. And, they're using it some ways structured, organized. They've implemented, with governing policies and clear transparency. That's a perfect world. But the majority, unfortunately, it's kind of like the wild, wild west, right? They have no real compliance in place for it. They're probably not aware of all the different Gen AI apps that are being utilized across their organization. And that certainly can increase risk. And that's just a byproduct of how rapidly AI has been adopted. Now, we are seeing, of course, this move to agentic AI for autonomous capabilities, right? The autonomous reasoning, where I can go from being reactive to more proactive because I'm passing the task or the larger set of tasks, the goal, to AI and offloading and augmenting that. There are a few, folks that are focused on this and really starting to kind of push towards that direction, but they're not fully there yet. And then we have the private model, right? A privately hosted LLM, and this typically we're seeing either really large enterprise customers or telcos kind of move towards this direction, very early stages, but I have heard directly from customers that this is something they're doing. And one of their big priorities here is to figure out how they can integrate AI across their stack, right? On-prem and also for compliance purposes and security purposes. And these are a couple of the areas that we've seen it in, but just as fast as the AI has been utilized for good and has been, adopted by organizations, it has created quite a number of new expanded attack surface components, right? And the way it's done this is first, just like we're leveraging the innovation of AI, so are threat actors. We optimize our operations as the good guys. We're looking at where can we improve? Where can we automate? Where can we do this process and do it fast, quick, efficient, at scale? They're turning around and weaponizing AI. They're launching these attacks at scale. And the way that they're doing it extremely effectively today, sure, we know that there's some that are using it to build out pretty complex attacks, but for the most part, it starts with creating extremely compelling phishing copy, copy for pitches around social engineering tactics. And they're using this to kind of launch and scale these attacks really, really fast, creating a beautiful website. And they're able to kind of lower that barrier to entry. is something we're seeing where I don't need to be as much of an expert in terms of being a threat actor as perhaps I once was, because now I have the assistance. And for the folks that are true threat actors that have that experience, are using this to augment and offload, just like we are. In addition to that, this creates more concern around the AI supply chain vulnerabilities. Of course, internally, many employees unknowingly misuse AI because they're not informed. We're seeing that quite often where you have proprietary information injected into a public LLM, right? And not only that could break your company's compliance, but also that information could do a lot worse. It can break regulations depending on your organization. And this also not only makes the attacks more dynamic, but you got to remember the area that you have to continuously monitor and search through when it comes to threats is very broad. And as we increase applications, as we increase devices, as we increase the number of users.
There's been a lot of talk about AI weaponization. Are you actually seeing some of this in the field? I mean, from the Fortinet perspective, or?
Yeah, great question. So, first, when it comes to weaponization, the first thing we're seeing is like they're utilizing it to enhance their existing tactics. So that's at its foundation. Now, many folks will say, oh, we're seeing AI being used to generate all these new malware strains that we've never seen before. And truthfully, we're not seeing a ton of that. Have we seen it? Yes, to an extent. But at the foundation, just like we optimize these cyber gangs, they're working together, they're collaborating, and then they're using the AI to do what they're doing more efficiently and at scale. So it's typically what we're seeing predominantly, but yeah, unfortunately, we have seen some usage to help them develop some of these different malwares and strains.
So Frederick Van Haren from Hyphens Consulting. So ignoring AI for a little bit, I mean, historically, a lot of the hacking is actually coming from the inside, where somebody's being compromised. So is that also an angle you're approaching? Is how can you protect enterprises from the inside, knowing that somebody had a level of trust and that trust is compromised?
Thank you for asking that question, because it goes perfectly into our next topic. Yes, ultimately, we see quite a number of organizations deal with like the misuse of AI itself, right? And it's not necessarily the threat actor coming in and using that AI, for instance, like in your example. It's because somebody has made a mistake, right? But they still leverage the AI to create like really convincing scripts to social engineer, right? We're seeing folks on the organization not have visibility into the applications that are being utilized. And so that's where you risk that insider information, that proprietary information from leaking out, data leakage. And that is a significant risk. But we're also seeing a lot of deep fakes, right? And phishing. All these components still leverage AI, but even if you put that aside, that tends to be the focus. This just helps them do it a lot better. Does that answer the question?
It does, thank you.
Okay. So this brings a lot of the considerations top of mind, right? One, as I'm adopting AI, I need to have visibility into it. Who's using it in my organization, right? What are they using? How are they using it? What are they putting in there? Can I control anything around that? How do I govern, right? These are all things, how do I ensure that my data remains private and secure, and control the overall usage of the AI, put these guidelines in, but also have, trust and transparency within our models. And stay compliant, not only in my organization framework, but also with regulation. Lastly, does the AI integrate? Does it integrate with other AI, or does it integrate across the technologies that I'm using to help bolster my usage of those technologies? And these are kind of the core areas that we're seeing, customers starting to really debate and take into consideration. With that said, I would say the majority that are taking these foundational areas into consideration would be your enterprise, your larger enterprise, of course, service providers and telcos. But the organizations that are a little bit smaller don't, or they're not quite there yet. They're just doing components. And when it comes to Fortinet, for those that are not as familiar with Fortinet, I wanted to take a quick second and just lay the stage of our entire platform. The reason being is it will give you a good understanding of where our AI sits and how it works and is embedded across our platform. So when it comes to Fortinet, we have one of the most comprehensive cybersecurity platform in the industry, in which we have one operating system for both networking and security. And we tie this all together through something we call our security fabric. It's the glue. It's what brings all of our solutions and unifies the telemetry, as well as having the ability to kind of switch through them very easily. And so we have our first pillar of secure networking. And what this really focuses on is converging the security, the networking across every device and edge, all the way to unified SASE, where we can secure users across any cloud, any application, and secure AI-driven security operations, which is AI-driven security operations for faster detection around those threats, investigation, and response. And again, all tied together with that common operating system, single operating system, the security fabric. And within that, we have our threat intelligence feed into it, our FortiAI, our AI component distributed throughout it, and our vast ecosystem. And this makes it really easy to adopt, especially if you're leaning towards a consolidation effort. And to keep that in mind now, let's talk about our AI, which we call FortiAI. That's the brand of our AI, and let's talk about its role within the security fabric, because we have one fabric and it's amplified by AI. What's phenomenal with Fortinet that I love, I've been with the company for 6 years, and I've seen a lot of innovation. And I've seen that even over the last 15 years, they've been innovating around AI and powering over 40 solutions with it, which is incredible, tightly integrated together. It's also, here at Fortinet, we're the number one patent inventor in AI and have well over 500 patents when it, again, comes to security and AI. We have our FortiAI, which represents all AI, and we break it up into 3 distinct buckets. These 3 buckets are FortiAI Protect, which is to protect against your AI threats. FortiAI Assist, that's going to assist you with your operations and help augment. And then FortiAI Secure AI, that's all about securing your LLMs and your AI systems. And basically, this is really in an infinite loop where we have security for AI and AI for security. So let's talk about FortiAI Protect. When it comes to FortiAI Protect, what do customers care about? Because we've mapped our framework around the customer's voice. I speak with so many customers every single day, as well as our partners and, of course, many, many folks. And they want to have this accurate analysis where they can boost the efficiency of their threat detection and how accurate they are, because they don't have the time to potentially detect a threat that may be a false positive, may be nothing. I just wasted, hours and hours investigating something we detected and it was meaningless. I don't have the time for that. I need something that's accurate. So what do I need for that? I need threat intelligence, very deep threat intelligence that's accurate and that helps provide some of that AI to detect these AI-driven threats that we were talking about a little bit ago, right? To keep pace with that. In addition to that, I need to have visibility into the Gen AI, right? And also understand the risk of what Gen AI is being utilized across my organization, so I can enable safe usage and prevent, potential threats, potential leaks, and having control over these applications and managing and mitigating that risk. We power FortiAI Protect with FortiGuard Labs AI-powered security services. Now, FortiGuard Labs, for context, is our threat intelligence apparatus. It consists of over 1,000 threat hunters, threat researchers, data scientists. I mean, really, really smart folks that are constantly scouring the world for emerging threats, and they're leveraging the telemetry of our threat intelligence. We have hundreds and hundreds of partners that we share this intelligence with, and together we have over 500 million sensors deployed across the globe and hundreds of AI and ML features that help us sift through all this information and enable that base of FortiAI Protect. And this will help organizations be able to kind of first pull up those threats, those AI-driven threats quickly as they emerge, and be able to put them out faster, because we're giving them all the tools that they need, and on the back end, we're leveraging our own technologies to quickly deliver the information.
Sort of like in the old days, malware modeling and stuff like that. You get new malware, they'd release a new database with a malware update. Is that what you're talking about here?
When it comes to FortiGuard Labs, yeah, to an extent, that's part of it. And then we go up and beyond that. So there's the outbreak detections, we have IOCs, but in addition to that, we have all these other services, whether they're expert managed services or subscriptions. And what's really cool, especially with our expert managed ones, like our SOC as a service, what I love is that team that's using our own technologies and threat intelligence, they're also shipping back that information and sharing those best practices and the content that they build for our SOCs back into FortiGuard. And so it's not just merely here's some detection rules, right? It's very, very comprehensive. And then we're also using that to help. I mean, that's the foundation of where we started developing a lot of our AI and ML, right? To be able to quickly and accurately sift through this intelligence, make that correlations for the customers, and provide the best practices as well as content. Yeah. And so FortiGuard Labs is, again, just one component of FortiAI Protect, but it's really a core part. It's a series of solutions and services that together kind of form it. And now we can talk a little bit about how organizations are getting better visibility using our FortiAI Protect. Ultimately, like I said earlier, I have all these applications running. I need to know what's going on. We can give you that full visibility into what's being utilized across your Gen AI, but we can go a step further too. What applications they're using, how long those sessions are, what the risk of those AI applications might be, and of course, who's using it. And then we can take that information to help apply guardrails, especially around implementation, and helping you protect your organization, to be preventative, and to adjust the policies that you may or may not have in place.